Preetika Rao, and today I have none other than Dr. Arjun Pai with me, who is a master and genius in Nakshatras, and he's a researcher of astrology and specializes in esoteric research and astrology. I have to tell my audience this, that sometime back during an interview with an astrologer, I mentioned, or I rather happened to mention, about somebody who had done a past life reading for me. And I was marveled at the fact that my past life was so connected and so similar to this life. And everybody was curious in the comments and asked me, who is it that did your past life astrology? Can we get in consultation from him? And all of that, those questions appeared. And I have the man himself, Dr. Arjun Pai, with me today. Welcome, Arjun ji, and thank you so much for gracing my channel and giving me your precious time.
You're welcome, Preetika. Thank you very much, and namaste to all your viewers. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So today I want to know from you, how important is it to actually delve into our past life? Because for me personally, I think I got a slightly better understanding of this life and the pattern that I was going through in this life. It gave me some perspective into it. But personally, as an astrologer, do you think it's very important to delve into a past life reading while doing an astrological consultation?
Okay, that's a very good question, Preetika ji. Whenever I started studying astrology, I was looking at these answers that you're asking me. So there was a very famous astrologer at that time when I was studying. So when I went to him, he said, people really go and try to seek astrological advice for majorly three purposes. One is the fears and the phobias that you hold of your past, is the anxiety of the present, and the curiosity of the future that holds for you. So this is the most important thing, is we need to understand why we are here and what are we here for. And if that is not answered, then you're not able to be accomplishing whatever you are here to do. So that in that perspective, when we look at astrology is not only a science of the present and the future, it's also about what karmic imprints, what we call as vasanas and samskaras, that we hold from our past lives. And when I talk about past lives, I'm talking about human birth. It's not about all other births that we have taken, because when you say past life, it can be a lot of births we have taken, in different forms. But the most important birth is the human birth. So that's why what we call that as prarabdha, for what has come as a balance in this life, is called as prarabdha. So that's why past life and understanding your past lives becomes very, very important. Why a particular person has come into your life in this time period is also going to be decided based on what is the implications that you have had and what you shared with them. And this form of astrology is very, very a beautiful science, because unless you know, it could also mean that you have just shared a meal with somebody in the past life, but that person can come in this life in a different form for you. So we really do not know whether the person coming into your life has come as a friend, a foe, or in what format. So that is very important to know. So that's why past life astrology, if you can delve into, it becomes very simple for people to understand what is that actions and activities you've done in the past and what you can do in this life.
At this point, I also want to ask you that this means that people who say maybe want to take revenge or hurt us can also come back, right?
Yes, Preetika ji. So there is a beautiful story in Mahabharata, which is not in the conventional Mahabharata, is after the Mahabharata war, the Great War. It is Dhritarashtra, who lost all his 100 sons, goes to Lord Krishna and he asks Lord Krishna, what is my past life karmas that I have lost all my children, okay, all my sons. So Krishna says, 100 lifetimes back, you were a hunter and Gandhari was your spouse even in that lifetime, and you had, as a hunter, you had gone to the forest, and you had thrown a burning net and on a tree which had a couple, a bird, which is couples, and they had 100 small, birds which were born. And in this event, what happened is, the 100 children were killed by the burning net that you threw on the tree, but the two birds, the husband and the wife, they were able to escape, but because of the burning net, their eyes were burnt, and they curse the hunter. And this curse led to them having been blind. Even Gandhari had to blindfold herself. Okay, and the 100 children were killed in that lifetime. So then he asked Krishna, then why it took 100 lifetimes for me to go through this? Because he said, for last 100 lifetimes you were issueless. You didn't have children because you didn't have the yoga to be able to have children. So it took you 100 lifetimes to be able to have the merit of having 100 children. And when this was activated, the karma that happened 100 lifetimes back, that came back to you. So you lost 100 children because you had killed 100, these young birds. And you are blind in this lifetime because the birds that, escaped from that net, but because of the fire, the eyes were burnt. So in this lifetime, you're also blind.
Wow, that's a very insightful story.
So Preetika ji, what I want to say is it's not necessary that we are getting something just immediately from our past life. We do not know, some of these events might have happened 10 lifetimes, 15 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 200 human lifetimes. And that can come to, an event from that lifetime can come and happen in this lifetime.
Can you share with us any experiences of a past life reading that you have happened to have done, where maybe the karma with our partner, our spouse in this lifetime could be, maybe unraveled by you through astrology?
See, when we go deeper into astrology and we start looking at the karmic implications, as I said, there are vasanas. Vasanas are imprints that we leave. Like in astrology, what happens is our mind, when we are born with three things. One is we have a physical body, which is called as deha. Then we have what is called as the mind, which is the manas, but it's like a hard disk drive, which has been implanted into you, like a chip. Okay. And then we have the atma, and then the prana is infused into us. Atma, so we have deha, atma, and prana. And what we have is the chit shakti, which is the implant that has happened. Now these, when this is the moon is implanted into your mind, it's already programmed, it's pre-programmed. It has certain pre-programs which is going to run based on the impulses that we receive, the impetus that we get. So what is happening is, if you see an accident that happens, then you see how everybody reacts very differently. Somebody is calling the ambulance, somebody is, trying to go and help the person who is in the accident. But there could be many people who are afraid, somebody faints by looking at the blood that is there. So everybody is pre-programmed, and that pre-program comes from our past experiences that we have gone through. So why I'm saying this is because it is like, in today's computer, we have what we call as read-only memory and random access memory. So much of our experiences is like read-only memory. So we are only trying to retrieve from our past experiences in being in such situations, and we react in a particular manner. And that is what we call as the imprints, the karmic imprints. So sometimes what we also see, Preetika, in my readings, I see that when you come as a partner in this life, the partner could have been your worst enemy from your past life. And when you look at past life karmas also, you have to know that it is not necessary that the person who has come as your spouse in this life could have only been a friend. It could also have been somebody who's a relative, okay, an association. So when we see these karmas playing out, then you have to give them indications of what not to do and what to do when, in certain situations in partnerships. Certain events can trigger you in the wrong manner. And that is what you have to be very cautious about when you are suggesting and making, suggestions to people and counseling them. So today, what has happened with astrology, Preetika, I want to say, when you see all of these things, now it has become more of a counseling session than real astrology, because once you understand the karmic patterns which are evolving, okay, in the chart, we try to counsel the person and we help the person to move forward in these life, because otherwise the same karmic patterns will keep repeating, which means maybe this partner will leave and go, but you will always get another partner who will have the same tendencies and pushing you towards making the same kind of mistakes over and over again. So astrology is that science which has to say that you have to, forgive what was the mistakes that you've done. Like, for example, I'll give you an example where you see that in this life, the couple are issueless. Because when we see karmically in a past life, Pritika, one of them had impregnated the other person and abandoned the person. So in this life, the woman is not able to bear children, is because she has the karmic imprints of the partner being, cheating her. So if we can heal that energy in this life and ask them to move forward, is when we are releasing many of those barriers that are coming into their life in this lifetime.
This brings me to my next question, and that is partners who cheat on you, or partners who deceive you, or partners who promise to marry you and then, break their promise. So something like this, if it happens with you, because it has happened so commonly with so many people I know, in this kind of a scenario, do we forgive the person and say that, okay, maybe we cheated on this person in the past life, and so I forgive this person and let the person go scot-free? Or do we bring that person to, to justice? You bring yourself to justice and let the world know what the person has done, or rather, you can say, expose the person. Is what would be the right thing to do? Because if you don't voice out your opinion and call for justice, you could also be somewhere considered as vulnerable, right? And suppose there is a person who's in the habit of maybe cheating women, he may get encouraged to carry on this pattern in life. So what would your take be as somebody who has seen these karmic patterns through astrology?
Astrologically, whatever you're saying, it makes absolutely sense, because we believe in the four Purusharthas, which means it is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So what is that you have a connection with this person is, if you want to re-establish Dharma, see, it is not your karma to go through sometimes. Say, for example, I gave you the example of somebody meeting with an accident. If somebody is meeting with an accident, it is not your karma to go and help them. It's your dharma. So if you see this is a pattern that is happening with somebody, it is your dharma to go and confront the person and to show it to the world that, so that nobody else gets cheated. If this is the pattern that the person is trying to demonstrate, it is your dharma. It is not your karma. So dharma, anybody who protects dharma will also be protected by dharma. So in my view, if you feel that this is something is a karmic pattern that you're seeing with that person and you are affected by it personally, it definitely makes sense to voice out your opinion and not to suppress yourself. Otherwise, suppression can lead to guilt and also long-term damage to the person psychologically. Otherwise, the person will never be able to come out and to express, because they think this is my karma. So don't think everything is karma. Sometimes it also becomes your dharma to be able to stand up for righteousness. So astrology, as well as all kind of Dharma Shastras, tell you have to stand up for yourself. So there is nothing wrong in standing up for yourself, and that is the right thing to do.
So, what are bad marriage karmas all about? Like, are they about uh, like should somebody stand up against like domestic violence and everything, and just and leave the partner because it's dharma, right? That's what you're saying.
Okay, I want to give you an example that happened in Australia. Apparently, I was told this case that happened in Australia, with the Australian government actually brought in uh, a law where it can help all the women who were in domestic violence or would have bad marriages. They said, we would give you an opportunity because you have gone through so many things. If you come under the social workers, as a government, what they will do is they will relocate you. They'll also give you a new name. They will also help you to re-establish so that you can start a new life. We'll also support you if you are going through a bad marriage and you want to come out of it and you're fearful about the society and everything. We'll also give you a job. Do you know 80% of the women didn't opt for that? The reason why I'm thinking is because you have strong karmas attached with being with that partner, and many of them who have had bad marriages with children and everything, single mothers, they were fearful about coming out of it. I don't know what makes them want to stick with such relationships, even though there is violence, there is abuse, what kind of atrocities that people are going through. So is that the karmas which is keeping you bonded with that relationship? This is astrology also tries to see these patterns that are there, and sometimes no matter what remedies you tell them, because you have no remedies, also will only work for those which are called as adrida karmas, which means which is unfixed karmas. If it is drida karma, then you cannot escape from it. You will probably go through this pattern again and again and again. So why am I giving you this example of what happened in Australia was an exercise which the government wanted to do to help women who are vulnerable and who could probably have gone through all of these patterns, and to help them come out. But how many of them voluntarily wanted to come out? Because they find a very karmic bond, even though it is miserable to be there in that situation. What is that which is making you stick with having a bad relationship? So you need to understand that the thing that is there is mostly, when you say Saturnian, what is Saturn? Saturn is about your fears, your responsibilities, your burdens, your restrictions and your limitations that you have. And despite having, what we say is the faith, the strength, the courage, and all of these things, you're not able to make that action. Sometimes it is decision paralysis. Saturn is decision paralysis. And what is Mars? Mars is action. And that's why you see the concept of Hanumanji comes in, because Hanuman is an epitome of selfless service and surrender. And if you show courage, if you show strength, if you show absolute faith and devotion in something, and joyfully surrender, and also what is Hanuman? This is something that I always wanted to bring it up, because Hanumanji is nothing but somebody who has Hanuman, the word Hanuman means somebody who has a disfigured jaw. What is jaw? Somebody who keeps his jaw high is called somebody who is egoistic in pride. His jaw was broken. So Hanuman is a broken jaw, because when he was young, he thought the sun was a big fruit and he jumped and he leapt thinking that he wanted to eat it. And Indra threw his vajra and he broke his jaw and he felt unconscious. He fell unconscious. So sun is the pride, the ego, and Hanuman is a broken, jaw. So that means it shows humility.